The Trump administration has given out zero information on the 10,000 people it fired yesterday from federal health organizations. And so we're only now starting to piece together the scale of the carnage as these 10,000 fired government workers start to speak up and talk to the press or post to social media about what has happened inside their agencies and what jobs they were fired from. I mean, this is just a sampling. At the FDA, quote, offices focused on food, drug, and medical device policy were hit with deep staff reductions. At the CDC, fired employees included those studying injuries, asthma, lead poisoning, smoking, and radiation damage, as well as those that assess the health effects of extreme heat and wildfires. HIV prevention was a big target, including teams leading HIV surveillance and research, and a group of health researchers who were working on preventing transmission of HIV from mother to child. The AP says, quote, scores of government employees who help administer the early childhood program Head Start have been put on leave. Preschool operators say they have received no communication from the Office of Head Start and don't know who to turn to. NBC News reports that several divisions at HHS focused on the safety of people who work in mining. Those divisions were cut entirely. The whole office that administers LIHEAP, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, that whole office is gone. That's a program that literally keeps the heat on in millions of American homes through the winter. They just zeroed it out. From NPR, quote, HHS layoffs hit Meals on Wheels and other services for seniors and disabled people. At least 40% of staff in those areas fired.
Asthma prevention, smoke inhalation protection, Meals on Wheels. Are you kidding me? LIHEAP, that's a program that I relied on not so long ago to help me keep my home warm in the winter. It's for low income households. This is real. My name is Suri Crowe and you're watching MeidasTouch Network. You know, I knew it was going to be bad, meaning the Trump regime, which is why I and millions of others tried to stop it from actually happening, but it is infinitely worse in real life. It's like seeing a Mack truck coming for you down the road and you're bracing for impact, but you still can't imagine the actual eviscerating pain when it strikes you. I feel like that's what we're living through right now. And the pain and suffering that Donald Trump and his Project 2025 bros are causing for millions and millions of people is inhumane and intentionally cruel. They like to see us suffer. RFK Jr. is a monster and he is destroying the Department of Health and Human Services, which also oversees the FDA. In this excellent article in Vanity Fair, the headline says it all. The expert who kept eye drops from blinding you was fired yesterday. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, terminated thousands of experienced public health professionals in an April Fool's Day massacre. We are all about to pay the price. If you've ever used eye drops that didn't blind you, thank Dr. Timothy J. Polhouse. As of yesterday, meaning April 1st, he's gone. And if you've ever been injected with a sterile drug that helped heal you instead of killing you, you have relied on the services of the Food and Drug Administration's Office of Manufacturing Quality, where Polhouse worked for 15 years and was a senior policy advisor. Those targeted for elimination, including Polhouse, were then handed what are being called RAF, reduction in force letters, with their jobs eliminated on the spot and in front of their colleagues. This man and others like him who served as public servants for 15 years, saving lives, were then just fired on the spot in front of everybody else. The article goes on to say the scene was, quote, brutal. One FDA employee told Vanity Fair, quote, people were sobbing and crying like I never thought I would see. These pathetic lunatics chose April 1st as if this was a joke. People were being embarrassed in front of their coworkers and hand-delivered these notes of no-go. And though the nation's new health secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has pledged radical transparency, all of the roughly 24 employees at his Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Division that handled Freedom of Information requests, those are known as FOIA, to provide journalists and researchers with agency documents, were informed that their jobs were also being eliminated. The FDA's entire media team was booted as well. So much for radical transparency. Folks, this is an authoritarian regime takeover. Full effing stop. So when people tell you that we'll be okay or you're overreacting or are going on about their lives as if nothing's happening, you need to show them this shit because this is real. This is happening right now. Trump, Doge, RFK Jr., in my opinion, a black stain on the Kennedy name, just wiped out decades of life-saving medical expertise and science at the FDA. And we are no longer safe.
What we are piecing together appears to be a portrait of pretty total destruction of the most advanced scientific and health institutions in the entire world. Dr. David Kessler has led prestigious medical schools. He is known and beloved for his landmark work on HIV and AIDS, for taking on the tobacco industry. He was the longtime commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. During COVID, here on this show in particular, you may remember he became a familiar, even reassuring voice during a very deeply scary time. Joining us now is Dr. David Kessler, former FDA commissioner, former chief science officer for the Biden administration's COVID-19 response. What's your reaction to what we know thus far of these cuts?
I think they're endangering the lives of all Americans. You alluded to it. Those nights during COVID that you had me on, I mean, there were some dark nights, deaths, 3,000, 4,000. You even mentioned one of those nights, you were on the ledge, right? My job, I was able to walk you back a little.
Yeah.
We were able to say, it's going to be okay. The reason I was able to do that, because we had people like Peter Marks, Julie Turney. We had people who had expertise that allowed us to get through this, the right drugs, the right vaccines, the right doses. They were fired.
The damage is so wide and deep that medical experts like Dr. Kessler wonder if we will ever be able to recover.
We are less safe today because of these cuts that have happened the last several days. I always thought that things were fixable, right? You could fix things. I am very concerned that if these cuts are not rescinded, these will have effect for decades.
You think that the way they have done these cuts, the people they've cut, the number of jobs they've cut, potentially have created a crisis in which we can't ever have these institutions back at strength?
I think we're very close to that. I wonder whether the president really even knows, the extent of what has been done. Remember that night that he was taken by helicopter to Walter Reed? He was very sick, right? He was given 2 monoclonal antibodies, right? He referenced those as miracles. They were cures. All of a sudden he got better. I mean, he could have died, but for those drugs. Dr. Peter Stein's office made available those drugs to the president and to thousands of others. Peter Stein was fired. Someone needs to walk into the Oval Office and say, Mr. President, we just fired the person who may have saved your life. Probably the 2 most knowledgeable people about bird flu, gone. People who look at the toxins that are in our food, those programs are gutted. The people who are going to just answer the phones, right, to make sure that the next emergency use of that drug, like the president got, they're not there to answer those calls anymore, to make that available to the average citizen, right? The president has to be informed of what the extent of these cuts are. And we have maybe a week, before this becomes beyond fixable.
Toothpaste is out of the tube, people. You can't put it back in. When you dismantle things the way that the Trump regime is doing right now to our government, you can't just put them back together like wooden bricks. Like, we'll just put them back together. It doesn't work that way. And this is because of Republicans and what they have allowed, because of the people who supported and voted for MAGA. This is where we are right now. And we need to repeat that. No matter how frustrated some of us may be with certain Democratic leaders, this is not on the pro-democracy side. This is what the MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump have done. And I honestly grapple to understand how anyone can remotely think that what is happening is good. I see these MAGA trolls on X like, oh yeah, way to go, clean out the FDA, woo, just fucking dumbasses, like one cell brain. They're in a death cult. There's no other way to describe this. You are in a death cult when you are cheering on the dismantling of our health and science divisions, the very things that look out for our safety. And, I think of two of my close friends who are deep into MAGA. I'm not speaking to them right now. I'm not talking to any of my friends in MAGA because of where we are right now. I can't associate with people who are or support Nazis. I'm very blunt. I crossed the Rubicon about 2 months ago. But I want to just shake them, and I care for them deeply, but do you realize that you just voted for death? You just voted to stop cancer research for the illness that you have suffered from. It is mind blowing to me. And, the scientists who save our lives have now been humiliated and thrown out on the street because of a psychopath ex-heroin addict, that's RFK Jr., and the vile man who hired him, a vengeful, repulsive, completely deranged Donald Trump. They do not care. Elon Musk does not care. My congressional representative, Jen Kagan's self-described mom on a mission, is a former geriatric nurse practitioner. So much for do no harm, Jen Kagans. You don't effing care, because if any of you did, you would have stopped this April Fool's massacre. What kind of psychopaths? It's psychopathic. And I feel like I use that word increasingly, but really when I use the N-word, the Nazi word, this is what the Nazis did, cruel and unusual punishment. Firing someone like Dr. Polhouse in front of all of his colleagues, that is taking glee in people's pain and suffering. There's simply deeply, deeply wrong with you to do that. And then, in the next couple of weeks, Republicans are going to go for gutting Medicaid and Medicare. I have still some treatment to go for my own self with my breast cancer journey. So I am very concerned. I am just one person of millions, but we are, in my opinion, we're hitting a breaking point. I think we're getting to a boiling point. I'm not going to say I know what happens because I don't. But when you start ripping away the safety precautions, the FDA, when you take away people's health care, when they're going through cancer treatment, let me just tell you, if you think I'm fired up now, just wait. Please spread this message far and wide. Explain to your MAGA friends, if you happen to be talking to them, that when they go to Walmart to buy their diabetes supplies, the reason that the needles are deemed sterile or go to the pharmacy is because of people like Dr. Polhouse. That when they put eye drops in their eyes that literally do not blind them, it's because of people like Dr. Polhouse and the others at the FDA. The men and women who have given their careers and their lives over as public servants, and now they have been wiped out. MAGA is just a death cult. Like I said, I don't know how this ends, folks. We have to keep talking about it and letting people know what's going on and repeating it, that the Republicans have done this. This is what they have done, and we are going to fight like hell to make sure they do not cause any more damage and to get back whatever we can from our dismantled nation. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please follow me on my socials down below. And I'll see you back here soon. Okay. Peace.
Can't get enough Meidas? Check out the Meidas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more. Sign up for free now at MeidasPlus.com.